Welcome, everybody. I'm Prajna, and I have a guest with me today who is someone I'm very fond of, and I've known for maybe about 5 years. And I've really been looking forward to this conversation because this is a woman who, right off the bat, I was able to feel a certain level of intimacy that isn't always felt with almost anybody. So in certain ways, I feel like she is a soul sister and resonate with her very deeply and look so forward to hearing what she has to share today. And I have a number of questions for her. And I want to just start out by saying that this woman, my friend Claudia Neubert, we had a little conversation beforehand, and she said something to me which many women have said who have come on to the conversation, that there's a little bit of a, not even nervousness, but not perhaps used to hearing their own voice, speaking and, expressing also something that's intimate. And many women like myself, we have a little bit of experience speaking publicly, but not on such intimate topics. So I feel the same way. And I just want us to be able to name that and honor that at the beginning, and see how part of this is the reason why we're having these conversations, is that in our history, women haven't always been given center stage. And there's many things that have happened with women who have, has cut them off, disconnected them from their bodies. Not only women, but all bodies. So when we speak about the womb, we're speaking about all of our bodies and how our bodies are intimately connected to the womb of the earth, the fabric of existence. So whenever one body is violated or injured or dehumanized or objectified in any way, all of us are impacted by that. So we've gone a long, long time where we've been very much governed by a patriarchy, a dominant white male culture, and it hasn't served any of us. So this bringing our stories forward, not only do we get to heal more deeply, but we offer a portal for all people to bring their stories forward. And speaking a story and being witnessed and believed is always the beginning of a healing, that when a healing happens for one person, it happens for all of us. So I wanted to give that little introduction about the womb, because I know that some people, when they hear that word, can feel a little alienated if you're a person who doesn't have a womb. But to understand that we're talking about all of us, and we can agree upon one thing, that all of us were born from a womb of a woman's body. And these bodies are to be honored and cherished. So I'm going to bring Claudia on now. Let's switch the screen. Welcome. Excuse me. Welcome, Claudia. And Claudia is all the way over in Germany right now. And she is pregnant with her fourth child and due to have this baby at any moment within the next week. Yes. So Claudia's in Germany and I'm in California, and I believe we met in Spain about 5 years ago. And yeah, so let's begin in the beginning. Let's hear a little bit about how it was for you growing up in a female body in Germany, and maybe what was happening at the time then, and what kind of environment that was, and how that was for you to maybe be connected with your body or not. And let's hear about that.
Okay. So thank you for this invitation. And just listening to your introduction, I was like, what came clear to me was that and maybe many women have this, like, I have a very strong feeling about myself and about what is true for me, but almost no words for it.
Mm. Yes.
And maybe it's just the other way around for men. Like
Mm.
they have the words, but sometimes not the feeling. So I really feel in my body what is important for me, what is my truth and my love, and and the path I want to walk. But talking about it, like putting it into words, this is so unfamiliar
Mm-hmm.
still for me.
Yes, I really like what you just said there. It's like there, but you know something, there's something that you know, and to articulate that, that's something that I think all women know deep in their bones.
Yeah,
You know, it's really deep, and how to articulate that. So let
exactly.
yourself go slow, you know,
Yes.
and this is, see, women circle, and we circle in such a way that we give ourselves permission to
Mhm.
breathe and to go slow and to honor what comes from that deep place that you know so well.
Mhm. Yeah. So I was born 1982 in the east part of Germany, the GDR, German Democratic Republic. And I think it's important because it was very different from the West Germany. In East Germany, it was all about equality between man and woman, and that the children are raised more by the system than by the parents. So after I was born, 10 weeks after, I was already put in a nursery home, how you call this in English, yeah. And so daycare with strangers, that was normal way of dealing with it. And the parents were always very young. So if you didn't have children with 21, 22, it was already a bit strange. So also my parents, they were around 21, 22. Um, and it was not common to breastfeed the babies and to have a strong bonding. So it was always like this notion of giving the child away so that the parents can work, because this was the way how man and woman could be equal.
Mm.
In West Germany, it was the other way around. Women, they stayed at home with their kids, and the man was going to work. And so, as we know now, not so much good can come out of this,
Mm.
because really, like, this bonding with mother was just missing. Um, so I had to deal with this a lot in my adult life, and also when I started to um, have children. This
Mhm.
was like with my first child, I was 25, and then it became clear to me that I was really, really, really missing something.
Mm.
Strong bond to my mother.
Mm.
And in these days in the GDR, the women were really proud to have their own money, to go to work, to, like, to live their life, but in a very kind of masculine way. So my mother and my grandmother, they are very much this representatives of masculine woman,
Mm.
and not being soft and tender,
Mhm.
but being quite harsh, strong and independent, but hard in a way. So also I've never experienced like a soft, gentle, holding or touching and cuddling. It was always about being strong and well functioning.
Mm.
And so I didn't have any kind of healthy examples of femininity, actually.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, like I'm modeling where you can be strong and soft at the same time.
Mhm.
Well, Claudia, you have come so far because you are one of the softest women I know.
Yes.
So how did that happen for you? Like, so did you have some eventually find some female influences?
Yes. So when I was pregnant with my first child with 25, this was the beginning for me to live a more conscious life. Before I was like living the crazy, the craziness of, like unhealthy food and drug consume and smoking cigarettes and drinking alcohol and like not knowing where I belong to, and all of this. I was really lost. But then, and I think for many women, they have this experience probably, like through the pregnancy, you stop kind of smoking and drinking alcohol, and you need to sleep more, and you start to eat healthy. And this really opened up something. And I think it was just like feeling more of myself.
Mm.
And it was not comfortable or totally happy, but it was really the first opening for me to look deeper into myself, into my family story and my body and the way how I want to live. And when my first son was 1 year old, I really started to look for teachers and teachers, like male teachers. And I found Kriya Yoga really helpful. So I jumped into the very masculine way of practicing yoga, which was not so much helping me in my daily life, because I just wanted to meditate and go to retreats and workshops and sit in a cave and really leave my body. So staying at home with my son, I was a single mother, was really, I really wanted to avoid this. So he spent a lot of time with my parents and friends so that I could go, into the cave and meditate.
So you were still in Germany at that time then?
I was in Germany, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So like living the daily life as a mother with a child I really had strong resistance to this, because suddenly I found like the bliss of not being in the body and in daily life and on the earth. And I just wanted to be there. But as life goes, I got pregnant again 4 years later after my first son. And in that moment, it was the crisis of my life, because I was a single mother. I was pregnant again, and I didn't know who. Like there were two men options as father, and this really hit. Like it was like really God was kind of grabbing my neck, and like pushing me on the ground, and like now you are here and look and take care. So I stopped yoga immediately. I stopped all of this practice, and I really started to deal with my life as a mother on the earth, in my daily life. And my daughter, she's just like, later I understood that she was such a blessing, because through her I accepted that I am a mother. I really said, okay, now I have 2 kids. I cannot avoid it anymore. And I started to understand that my real retreat and my real meditation is at home with the children and the household, and like living the daily life in a more conscious way. And this was really a big turning point, the second child. Before I could still, avoid it.
Yes.
But then it wasn't possible anymore. And I really said yes. And I left Germany and moved to Spain, south of Spain. And for the next 3 years, I was really fully dedicated to my life as a mother, as a family member. So, and I started to like learn all of the basic things that I found much more useful than doing yoga. And this was gardening.
Right.
Gardening.
And when you say, and when you say yoga, you mean in the Kriya style that you were being taught, which was a little more transcendent and up and out.
That's it.
Yeah.
This is not so much about like hatha yoga. It's
right.
transcending and breathing and awakening the Kundalini. And it's all about going up and out and really like losing or like, I mean, it's beautiful and there's so many amazing experiences, but what I was missing was really the ground, the body. And this was like, anyway, through my traumas that I experienced in my childhood, I had already this kind of pull to leave the body. So I didn't have to feel all of the pain and the sorrow. So this was already, you know, like my tendency to leave the body. And then these very powerful yoga practices, they supported this in a great way.
Yes.
You can just disappear and it's beautiful.
Yes.
It's so blissful.
I'm very familiar with that.
But then I noticed, you know, whenever I came home after a weekend of practice or of a retreat, like I step into the house, you know, I open the door and there's you know, the children are doing some kind of mess, and really in a second, there's no connection, no bliss, nothing anymore. You know, I'm just getting crazy, and this was really like, I thought, oh, okay, like I have to look a bit closer to this. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yes. So for me, always retreat and practicing yoga and meditation was holiday. I went to holidays, you know, to have a break. But being at home and dealing with really the earth stuff.
Was your real retreat.
That was my real retreat, yeah. So then this life in Spain really supported just my grounding. Having a very simple life, living in a community, self-sufficient, taking care of the kids, baking bread, gardening, having animals. Very simple, earthy life. And then there I started to meet more female spiritual practices. And I don't know, I was maybe living there 3 years already when you came to visit. And I so strongly remember this very first meditation that I had with you. I don't know what you were talking about in the meditation, but there was this one sentence when you said, come in and down. And I was like, fuck, we haven't been in and down for years. I don't even remember if I was ever in and down. And this was such a turning point because up to this moment, I followed a lot of non-dual teachings and teachers. And from this like moment when I noticed, oh, I haven't been in and down, I don't know, for years. It was like so clear that all of these teachings I had listened to before are not helpful for me anymore.
And then did you start to experience more of your emotional life? I mean, just like things really opening and unpacking, would you say? As you started to come into your body, did more of that start to open? So healing happened?
Definitely. And like I started to open more to my humanness and to my woundings and just to my very, like to my little human who is hurt and sad and alone. And so because before I wasn't interested in the human me, the personal me, let's say. Right. Because it was all about non-duality and recognizing that there's no personality. But on a very practical way of life, it didn't help me at all. Yeah, as I said, it was always like connecting to these teachings gave me a break. But were not supportive in my very daily life.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was this way.
Yeah.
So then, like turning more in and down, really from there, like I, I, I started to um, like many things changed, especially like when I think of the kids, like I could really much more connect to them
Mm-hmm.
and just feel them and see them and listen to them, and they were not so annoying anymore for me.
Mm. Yeah.
and, and you know, because before there were so many moments when I just thought, oh, they are kind of in my way of my spiritual practice. How can I get rid of them, you know, to like awaken?
Oh, yes.
But then like turning in and down, it was the complete opposite. Oh, through my life with my kids,
Mm.
I can awaken directly through that.
Yes.
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 This changed everything, really.
Yes. So you said earlier that also it woke you up to your womb. I mean, something about, connecting with the body. So what I'm curious about in that, because you've been pregnant now 2 more times since then.
Mm-hmm.
Now, would you say that even in the way that you experienced your pregnancy prior to this, really coming into your body and recognizing, yeah, I'm a body, I have this human body. Would you say that how you experienced pregnancy was different then, like as even right now, because you're 8 months, almost a full 9 months pregnant, yeah?
It like the birthing can start at any moment. It's really I'm at the end of this pregnancy.
Uh-huh. And,
Um,
and what I found really interesting in our pre-conversation, you said that your body is just so comfortable with the, carrying the baby. And so, I'm just interested in the how you feel this development of really bringing your spirituality into your life as a mother, like how that's also perhaps influenced your pregnancy. And
mhm.
um, did you have
Yes,
home births before?
yes. So
Beginnings? Mm-hmm.
this will be my third home birth. The first one came in the hospital, but just because I didn't know anything by then.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and this is like one main thing that I really trust my body and my womb.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not even visiting any doctors.
Mm-hmm.
The second child, I didn't have like it was birth I did all by myself, and so my body, my womb is the greatest source of trust and intuition. And
Mm-hmm.
whenever I need to know something, I just listen in and down.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so there's the intelligence of your body speaking
Yeah,
so
it's
loudly.
very rarely that I need to go out and look for an answer uh, concerning my body and my health,
Mm-hmm.
and the way how I live my life with my kids.
Yes.
Also, this like raising up the children, it's kind of like the guide is my womb, even with the older ones.
Uh-huh.
It's like
Yes.
really, she is like the teacher, and she
Uh-huh.
shows me. And if I'm stuck and if I don't know, like my oldest son, he's now close to puberty, and many things are different. I have no clue how to navigate there, but the womb and my body, they know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is really amazing. So I just have to really sit down and listen in and down, and I really can feel my womb as a really as a teacher, like
Mm-hmm.
as this great source of wisdom,
Mm-hmm.
and I just have to listen and ask.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So amazing.
Mm-hmm. And that is amazing. I have the same experience. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious too, because, well, we'll get to this, but maybe it's time to go there now. is as this humanness is allowed to happen, have you also found in your own, birthing process of giving birth to children that something also is being received in your lineage of the women before you, in your growing capacity to embody yourself and connect to your body and live from your womb and in a way of relating to your children and life around you, that your mother and your grandmother didn't have access to that?
Mm.
But are you finding that they're also benefiting from the growth that you've chosen to step into?
Yes, so with my mother, what I noticed is that she's really, um, mm, how to say, like she would never say, oh, I'm learning something or I get healing from you, but she's, there's something warm coming from her when I share with her pictures. Yesterday I had a blessing ceremony for the birth, and I told her about this, and I sent her some pictures,
Mm,
and she was touched. Like I really could feel this, and also like having like another kid. She was really like some years ago she would have said, oh, don't do this, like 2 kids are enough, and focus on your career and so on and so on. But I, like what I feel is that she also becomes softer
mm,
when I show her my softness.
mhm, mhm,
And it's subtle, she's not like talking about it.
mhm,
I can feel that something is kind of relaxing in her,
mhm,
and breathing out and
mm,
softening.
mm.
And I really love to feel this when she
Yes.
when she when she shows it a bit.
Uh-huh.
And also my grandmother, she's even more hard than she's, and they all have like short hair and they wear trousers. They would never wear like skirts and
And she's still alive, your grandmother.
still alive. Yeah.
Wow. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And she told me, oh, I think so much about you, and I don't know why, but I think a lot about you. And
Mhm,
I think this is the connection there.
mhm,
That is something, as if she's recognizing something. Maybe she doesn't even know what it is, but they both become softer, definitely. Yeah.
mhm. Yes. Well, I think it's really good to mention that. Will you also say for our listeners what the blessing is like? Some people may not be familiar with, so it's different. So is this just for people who have home births, or
No,
does
so
all
this
women
is
do this?
something
Or
that I really like to do, and I invite like my best girlfriends,
mm-hmm,
and we were 6 women yesterday, and I kind of really tell them beforehand what I need and what I want. And it's about that this coming birth gets really a lot of attention and blessings from the woman, and that because I am working a lot, so this is kind of my time where it's about me
mm-hmm,
and receiving like good feminine energy and blessings and nurturing. So I asked them, I told them, oh, I would like, that we eat well, and I get a massage. And yesterday, and even they had this idea to bath me. So we had a kind of ceremonial bathing. I
uh-huh,
was in the bathtub with a lot of flowers and water and oils, and they bathed me and washed me. And after this, they massaged me with really good oils, and oh, it was so good because
you can feel it.
like it's also like I am so used to give, and
Mm-hmm.
take care and be in service to my family, of course, and my clients,
Mm-hmm.
and to all of the woman circle I facilitate. But yesterday it was just about receiving,
Mm-hmm.
and it was so beautiful, like for every one of us.
Mm-hmm.
And and then they give like their blessings for the baby, and so that the baby really feels welcomed,
Mm-hmm.
and that the baby feels, oh, there, you know, it's a good place,
Mm-hmm.
planet Earth.
Yes. So like an initiation for the baby to come into
Yeah.
this world.
And also for me, yesterday it was almost like, because what I received yesterday, I didn't receive when I was a baby. Like
Mm-hmm.
I even remember, like when my mother was bathing me, she was not soft and tender with me. You know, it was like this roughness. And so yesterday it was like, oh yes, also for me, the planet Earth is a good place.
Mm-hmm.
Like almost like, you know, some parts of me that haven't come onto Earth yesterday, they were like, yes, it's a safe place. And
Mm-hmm.
people are good with me, and they are tender, and they take care. And I'm really welcomed, and I can be vulnerable and soft and shy, and all of this is welcomed. And so yesterday was such a magic moment, because it was not only for the baby, it was very much for Claudia, for me.
Mm-hmm.
And like really feeling in this circle of women, it's really safe, it's good, like
Mm-hmm.
it's so deeply good, and I don't want to be anywhere else anymore. And this was like kind of the end of this contrast program to 8-10 years ago, when it was all about like not being on the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Like then I felt really safe, like in transcending.
Mm-hmm.
But now I feel really safe in living here on this beautiful planet.
Mm-hmm. It's
Yeah.
so beautiful. I mean, there's so much that you just said in that story, and maybe we can just fill out a little bit of that, because
Mm-hmm.
what I hear you speaking about is the capacity and the potential for healing to happen on so many levels through the birthing process and through being a mother. You know,
Mm-hmm.
our how our own mothering happened, or parenting of any kind, but in that early family dynamic is where so much of our early wounding takes place, and birth itself can be such a traumatic experience for so many people, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and it has been. So here, like each time, it seems like, you know, when you have this opportunity again to give birth, like whatever hasn't been resolved, like, because we know that we carry in our genetics ancestral wounding, you know, we carry those patterns of those who have gone before us. You know, it's still here, and the birthing is such a place for that to open and heal. And in your circles, and you know, well, you've been in my circles, and we work in circles, and we really, you know, welcome this humanity, the softness, the tenderness, the space for something to open and to heal. And when you were speaking about your blessing, you know, I just wanted to acknowledge something in myself, because I feel it, like something got touched very tender here. And I want to honor that for myself and for other bodies that, you know, when my twins were born, first I had this, you know, my daughter Autumn. So Autumn was born first at home, and it was this beautiful birth. And we had all the things that you spoke about, you know, I was already 37 when I had her, which I think maybe you're 37 now. Are you?
38. Yeah.
38. So, and that was my first baby. And fortunately, before then, I had done a good deal of healing and study, and I was ready to give birth naturally. I learned about it. And, you know, that was such an amazing experience. And then when my twins came, we had a blessing weight planned, and it was all set with different women friends coming, and at somebody's house where it was all going to happen. But then my babies came 3 months early. And, so I was just feeling that in myself, that I wanted to name it for so many of us who don't get to go full term, either as the baby or something in the birthing process and the delivery happening, and then a prematurity happens, or there's some kind of injury along the way. So my little babies were very injured. So when we had the blessing way, we had it after they were born, and the women still wanted to gather. And I just remember, like, even at that time, I was not like that experience of being in the hospital when I had planned to be at home for a home birth. I completely disconnected from my body again. Like, it was like everything went numb all the way from, below the heart down, and almost like frozen, like a trauma. Like a trauma is something freezes, and a numbness that happened. And I didn't even know that it had happened. But it wasn't until many years later that when I went to the jungle and started to work with plant medicine, that the ayahuasca opened me up to my womb again, and all of that aliveness came back, and the connection to the intelligence in my body. So I was functioning I was functioning, but still like something in me disconnected. So when I hear you speak about this intelligence, it's so profound, and it's such an invitation for us to get that it's here. It isn't out there, and it isn't in these linear practices. It's just right here. It's innate. And we can learn to disconnect. We can learn to suppress and cover over this wisdom, and even in our voice. Like now, for me to speak about it, even I can feel a little shakiness, because a violation took place in that birthing process. So just, to breathe. But I wanted to like bring that into our conversation, because not to put a damper on like this beautiful birthing that is about to happen for you, but for so many women where it doesn't get to go that way. And like we can have our hearts so set on a particular way, and then because of the way that all of our different cultures are organized in a different way, and so much happens with women's bodies where they don't get to birth naturally, or where they don't even, like sometimes even giving birth and the baby is taken away, and so much happens. So I want to welcome all of those women into this circle with us, and just hold them and their babies.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that was coming, but I was feeling it over here, and I felt important to share it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah. So we can move on now. So Claudia, what would be interesting to hear about is the participation of your partners in your birthing process. Well, now I know your partner now, and what will be his involvement, and what has been his involvement with your family?
So last year, when my third child was born, it's just 1.5 years ago. For me, it was really important to have this experience together with him. So so my first birth, it was very unconscious in the hospital. I was overwhelmed. I didn't know anything. It was traumatic. It was not good. So then with my second child, it was really important for me to trust only myself. I didn't see a doctor. I just met a midwife twice. I really wanted to birth alone, to like have this experience that my body knows what to do and the baby knows what to do, and I can completely trust. And then with the third birth, my intention was to make this experience of togetherness with my partner. So I really, like, as if we are birthing this child together.
Yes.
And it worked out. It was like, we had a beautiful birth together. He was very much in his masculine presence, and just holding me and taking care, and I could fully surrender into this birthing process, and he was very strong in these hours, and very present. It was so beautiful. And so this time I don't know yet, but I feel like this time my intention is like I really would like to kind of drop deeper into the spiritual experience or surrender. Like actually it's like this, so like a deeper surrender into the earth, into the feminine wisdom. This is what I feel right now. And with Robert, my partner's name is Robert, like he's like in my imagination, like he's there, he's around, but he's not so close. Like I don't know, there's something calling me to, you know, like to almost like drop a bit deeper into the earth, into the womb of the earth, or whatever you want to call it. I'm not so keen on using all of these kind of spiritual terms, but again, this is just a feeling. It's hard for me to talk about, but like as if I'm dropping deeper into my own womb.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. And then once labor begins, you will have, like you said, you're going to surrender fully. So there may be times, as you know, you'll want it one way, and then it's going to switch and go another way. There can be this, well, I'm just speaking from my own experience, this fluctuating, you know, of when autumn came, she came so quickly in 2 hours. And I put pumpkin pies in the oven. And by the time she was born and, you know, we're all, the pie had cooled and we're just sitting around and eating pumpkin pie. It went so quickly. So the labor was really intense. So at a certain point, I'd wanted to be in the bathtub and I wanted to be out. I was cold, I was hot, you know, and just nobody near me, yet come close. And, you know, very intense, just as labor is, and the people that are around you have to know that, you know, you don't take it personally, you just.
No, that's it. So the last birthing, it was really important for me to make this experience of I can trust the man. You know, he's not like this feeling of trust, and now the trust is there, and I can trust him fully. So maybe this opens up something different or something I haven't experienced yet. I will see. And also we have this like the older kids. So we have already 4 children. 3 are born through myself, and 1 is a present. And they all want to join the birth. Also last time they were around, and also this time they ask, or they really would like to be there when the baby comes. So there are already like many people around. And yeah, so, and this is something I kind of want to find out more, like how can I, you know, like really drop deeply down into myself, and at the same time I don't have to be alone with it, or I don't have to hide away. Like I mean, and this is actually always the kind of practice for me with family life. Like,
Yeah.
how can I really be with myself, connected with myself, feel myself, and at the same time, there are kids with all of their needs, and all of the talking and the cooking and the cleaning and the taking care, and having both at the same time.
Mm.
This is like most interesting for me
Yeah.
to find out how this. It's a learning process for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
That's the real practice, isn't it?
mm-hmm.
Mm. Yeah. To honor yourself at the same time while taking care of those around you and showing up for the ordinary, mundane, typical responsibilities of being a householder.
Yeah.
And yeah, and how that doesn't get very often modeled in the patriarchal spiritual domains. Yeah, so good. So you're modeling that now for others. How
Mm-hmm.
possible it is. Yeah, you can just be at home and grow more in your
Mm-hmm.
just typical ordinary day-to-day life than sitting on a cushion perhaps in a
Yeah.
cave.
And this is for me womb wisdom, because
Yes.
this is the womb knows how to do this, how to cook a meal, listen to the kids, planning a workshop, doing the tags, nursing the baby, like for me, this is very symbolic for the womb, like having this multi-dimensional ability to you know
Include everything.
to include everything, like
Mm,
not one thing at a time, but this, for me, this is so deeply feminine.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
being able to have all of the antennas on. And I love, like when I experience this, I just love it. Like, this is so alive and
Mm,
so rich and full.
yeah.
And this is one of my favorite parts of this family life and being a woman.
Mm, yeah, that deep interconnectedness. So do
Yes.
you want to speak a little more now about what you do in your women's circles? So you facilitate women's circles, and you also, I know from your experience with me and with other people, you also have worked with different sacred medicines. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So
And
what would you like to share about?
um, with the women's circle, like, actually all I'm interested in is that each woman remembers herself,
Mm,
what is already in her and who she is, and that she's already um, wise,
mm,
very wise,
mm,
and that she's the earth, and that she's love, and all of this. So I'm like, this is, I'm not like teaching or anything, but I, through like different um, meditations and practices, it's all about like really through the body, because for me this is the most direct way, is the body.
mhm,
Dancing and touching and breathing and massaging and feeling and like dropping in and down, as I learned from you
mhm,
some years ago. And like witnessing how women kind of like again connect with themselves.
mm,
This is most beautiful for me.
mm,
And it doesn't need anything complicated,
mm,
or yeah, it's not complicated. It's just kind of pausing, softening, breathing, feeling, like feeling. It's for me, it's a lot. Most is about feeling, actually, and allowing the feelings to be felt, all of them.
mm,
And then something becomes like calm again and relaxed and connected with whatever shows up.
mm.
Um, So it's a lot about slowing down, actually, moving the body, feeling the feelings.
Yeah.
And also feeling safe in a circle of women. And again, I don't know, like, because in Germany, you know, it's a lot about being strong and successful and functioning and working, and it's very masculine way of life here in Germany. And through my time in Spain, I I could witness more this feminine way of life. Like for me, south of Spain is very soft and feminine. No one is running
Yeah.
to achieve like big things. It's warm and cozy. And so when I came back to Germany, I really wanted to bring this here. And yes, and it's not so difficult also for women to again remember and feel their softness and trust this more. It's not so far away, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually it's right there.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just this only sentence, you know, like come in and down.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. It's really wonderful. Like you say, when women come together, they really learn in that trusting of our own bodies, and we learn how to trust each other more as well. You know, I'm from a generation or two ahead of you, and I know that in my particular generation, that because the patriarchal conditioning was a bit stronger in my upbringing, and in the different, even though all of my life was about spiritual practice and different vocations, but very much from a patriarchal perspective. And within that, because the voice of the women is so suppressed. I mean, I even remember at one time I was part of the women's ordination conference, and I was in theology school training to be, you know, kind of a lay minister and running a soup kitchen and working in prisons and doing all of these different things. It was a very strong feminist movement happening at the time. And so I was part of the ordination conference, and every time that a man would be ordained, a woman would walk down the aisle at the same time. You know, they welcomed for that to happen. But it was like, you know, just kind of like the courage and that it took for women to even come forward just like that it was upsetting to many people in the audience, especially the generations before us, a few more, where there'd be some women sitting there saying, "You girls, you need to go home, you belong in the kitchen," and things like that, you know, very, very upset that we could even show up. So you feel that that dominance that has, it's kind of in the fabric of the voice of women and in how we treat each other. So because women were not to be trusted for so long, you know, in their healing, in their way in which they were able to hold community, but specifically healing, the healing that women brought. And they would never call themselves like a sage, but many of these women, especially in indigenous cultures, are incredible healers and incredible teachers, and just in their capacity to mother and attend and take care. And then how so much of that was taken away. And in that, there is still this dynamic that can happen between women of not trusting each other, only because they learned not to trust themselves. So I think that the work that you're doing, and many of us that we do, where women come together, is a really necessary thing, because we're allowing that layer of conditioning to really lift, because it is there. It's like Velcro, you know, it's kind of, it's there. And, you know, as it continues to lift and wash itself out, not only do the women benefit, but the men benefit from that as well, because then they can, again, as you see now, more and more women are leading and are facilitating and are offering retreats of all kinds. And men are showing up, they're showing up because they want to be human too. And they have been wounded just as much in a different way by the conditioning that has been passed on for centuries and centuries and centuries. So for men to have the permission to really be human is a gift that we all need, And I see that in well, you spoke of Robert, but I've had several retreats at your in Germany now, where both men and women, and I sometimes have more men coming on my retreats than women, because they want to show up and they want to stand in the center and be able to be vulnerable, and it takes courage. It takes courage to let yourself be seen and to let those wounds open, and to like really come in your body and feel your heart and feel the softness and the tenderness and the strength in that it doesn't take away from being masculine or a man. It actually makes you more of a whole being, a whole person.
Yes.
Yeah. So I commend the work that you're doing.
Yes. Yes, and also as I have always seen in your retreats, the men, they want to be in service to the feminine, like to the medicine, to the feminine softness. They really want to be in service of that. But only if they get this in a kind of a pure way. If it's mixed up with some kind of mother wounding and projection, then it doesn't work anymore. So this is what I have noticed in my relationship. Like, as more as I am connecting with my own softness and vulnerability, Robert is able to be in service and be there. But if I am acting out like, kind of my own mother wounding, then we don't come together at all, because he's so easily triggered. And but as softer I am, as more he is present. This is what I can see in our relationship. And if I get in my kind of controlling mode, I have to control everything and manage and do, then he's not interested in all to support this or to be in service to this.
Yes.
So we don't come together then in a, on the level of man and woman.
Yeah, and I often notice that when a woman, I'll just speak for myself, is getting into that controlling and micromanaging. Like, I know when I'm starting to micromanage and control, that my trauma response has kicked in. It's like something is feeling, needs regulating, like the system needs to slow down and calm and regulate, like there's still a piece of trauma that hasn't quite integrated. And I mean, I'm still continuously unlearning and learning and learning and learning and learning so much. But like this integration that is happening for all of us, like right now, you could say that we're in this pandemic in many ways is a global dark night, where so much of what we may have been used to as a way of getting on isn't available. So these different strategies or different ways to navigate life aren't available. So we're left to come back to, okay, so what is it that's really serving? So it's an opportunity for this great dismantling and unraveling to happen. And then for so many people who carry trauma, which is, I don't know anyone who doesn't, that these trauma can be triggered.
Definitely.
And what an opportunity to, if you can be with someone who can suddenly become soft,
Mm-hmm.
and then be that resonance of calm, so that that other person's system can regulate.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, this has been one of the gifts of being a parent, because children are uncensored. They will just, well, maybe I'll say that for my particular one that I have at the house here all the time. She is very uncensored, and can be, trying, very trying in that demand. But her system is very traumatized. She had birth trauma, so she has parts of her system that aren't fully integrated. So she can go off and have absolutely no control over it whatsoever, which is what happens in trauma.
Yes.
And but for me, what a opportunity. Okay, it's like, here's my householder meditation right here in my face all the time, 24/7. It's like, okay, can I be a resonating force of calm, so that the system can regulate itself and calm. And sometimes, for parents and for all of us, we need to acknowledge when we can't do that. Like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we have to go have our own pause,
Yes.
a walk out in nature, or find whatever it is that helps us ground. And I think that, just in being really real, is that parenting is not an easy lifestyle. The life of the householder is not. So I'm sure that at different times, when you get triggered or whatever is happening in your house, for all of the people that are listening, because we can start to come and wrap it up, is what are the things that help you regulate and ground again? And when it's, and maybe it doesn't happen that often in your household, but when it does, and for other parents and men and women alike, like, what are the tools that we can offer, especially during this pandemic, when the opportunities that we might have to go meet in a group and feel, the resonance of the group, and like let the group like be that holding for us. That isn't happening as easily. We're learning how to do it on Zoom as we are right now. But what would you say is helpful for people, that has helped you?
Mm-hmm. So I have these issues with my oldest child. He can really trigger me and get me. And so actually, most of the time, the only thing that helps is that I leave the house. I really have to leave, because he's like, then always, like behind me and not giving me my space, and just kind of nagging, until he gets me. And then, like, we just have to really separate. And like, it doesn't even, I like going into my room is not enough, because he will come.
Yeah.
And just not accept my boundaries. I really have to go outside.
Mm-hmm.
And then usually when I come back half an hour later or whatever, it's different.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that helps us, that we get this physical contact, like coming out of the talking and arguing and but just kind of like, if I can get him there, like in my arms, and then like his body feels me, then he can kind of relax, and he starts crying, and then it's, it
Uh-huh.
starts to lift. So
Uh-huh.
with him, this is the, like, talking is not, doesn't bring us anywhere most of the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, like for me, it's a lot about having space for myself here and there, and I don't need like, like days and weeks, but I have my own room. I would always recommend mother or woman, if it's possible to have in a room for herself. I
Mm-hmm.
really like without this, I could not live in such a big family. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Yes. Yeah.
And the room really, like, it's a beautiful energy here, and it reminds me of the things that are important for me, and like like pictures and books, whatever. It connects me with my deeper wisdom when I'm lost.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
and also like being honest with my partner and tell him, oh, I'm really stuck, right? Like, I'm so triggered. I could get totally crazy. Like, help me, or you need to take over, or
Mm-hmm.
like, and this was something I had to learn, because I always thought I need to manage it myself. And then I was also running over him, kind of, or like, spitting out on him. But like when I can catch myself, where I can kind of feel my own need in this moment, and then being able to speak it out, this is very, very helpful. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I get crazy right now. Please help, or whatever it is, like, um, yeah. But like this is and like really taking care and nurturing myself and knowing what nurtures me. Like for me, it's taking a bath
Mm-hmm.
in the
Yeah.
evening, when the kids are in bed, and I just go water. Water is always good for me,
Mm-hmm.
or having a little walk in nature, or calling a friend and just talking in a very honest way. So it took me a while to find out, like, 3, 4, 5 things, and then remembering them. But
Mm-hmm.
it's very, like, now I know, okay, water, fresh air, and another woman is like the 3 categories,
Mm-hmm.
which help me. And having my own space. This is really essential.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I have my own space now. I call it my woman cave. I'm in it
Yes.
right now. This is my little woman cave. But I
Yeah.
didn't always have it. And I don't, like sometimes when you look back, you have to wonder, like, how did you ever come to this place? Like, it's been like so many years, and how did you come so far and navigate all of the different challenges of being a parent? And, certain times in your life, like you said, you were a single mom. And then when the second baby came, and that was really when the rubber hit the road, so to speak, you had to
Mhm.
really like look at life differently, really look inside and look and see, okay, now I'm a mom and I have a responsibility here, and how am I going to do it? And to
Yeah.
start to gather all of your resources.
Yeah.
So,
But
yeah.
it was a long process. I mean, as I said, I'm 38 now, and now I feel kind of okay. I found out, like, a few really good things for myself,
Mm-hmm.
and then I could also say yes to more children, because I was done with I had 2 kids, and it was clear for me, that's it. I want to focus on different things. But when I met Robert, for him it was very clear. He had 1 son already, and one of the first things he said is that he wants for sure another child. And I said, well, I am sure I don't want to have another one. So let's see how we deal with this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But he was like, not giving up. And after 2 years, I said, okay,
Mm-hmm.
let's go for it.
Yeah, how sweet that you can share a child.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
it's
then when the last one was born last year, this one that is now in my belly, she showed up immediately, and it was really, because I thought maybe they are twins, like, last year, and I was even a bit disappointed when I found out it's only one child. So this other soul, she was showing. I don't know if it's a girl, but I guess
uh-huh.
she was like, okay, I'm also in the line, and so
Mm.
there too. And for me, this is something also very healing, like to have two kids with one man. It sounds a bit strange maybe, because usually it's very normal. But I have now 4 children with 3 different men.
Mm-hmm.
And some years ago I was so ashamed of this, and like I thought, oh gosh, how dare you? Or like, what woman are you?
Mm-hmm.
My daily experience is it's very normal. Like there's nothing strange to it.
Uh-huh.
But it does feel good to yeah, to have two kids with one wonderful man.
Mm-hmm.
So we have this crazy thing going on with a huge patchwork family, because there are 4 children, 5 children now, and 3 of them have different parents.
Yes. Yeah, that must be interesting.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and it was a lot of work to come together in a really nice way, but it works out now. So we are, like there are different grandmothers and fathers and another mother, but
Yeah.
it's good.
All our relations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that brings us back to the fabric of the womb. There's this book that I purchased not this long ago. I've only read parts of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually right here, so I'll show it to you and the listeners. It's called The Seven Daughters of Eve, and
Ah,
it's the science that reveals our genetic ancestry, and it's a national bestseller. But in here, it shows that if you keep going all the way back and all the way back, that there are 7 daughters that all of us are related to,
mm,
and it's quite fascinating. I mean, I couldn't give it justice because I've only skimmed through it, but to go all the way back to find that we are all related genetically, and it really makes sense to me. And maybe we'll close on this point because we're getting kind of long.
yes.
It's
Oh,
been wonderful though. Is just in the work that you're doing, and I know that Robert is doing it, and I've been doing it. Is when we come together in these circles, and within moments we start
mm,
to feel like a family. We are all of the same family, and I just want to underline what a powerful way of gathering it is,
mhm,
to come in circles, which is something of the feminine, you could say, but it's really quite human. And in a sense, we're really creating a holding womb. Like a womb is a place where you can be held and you can fall apart, and you can be, damp with tears and wet and messy, and all these things happen in our human family. And so when each person then comes into the middle of the circle, we all benefit from each other's healing, and by giving witness to each other, and just being held in that way. It's just so much magic happens. And I just want to mention that and encourage this way of gathering as soon as we get to do it again, which is something I'm finding can happen to a certain degree on Zoom and in this way, but that human holding and that human contact, that gets to happen. There's something really special about that, and I think when we do get to come together again,
mhm,
that wow, so much is just ready.
mhm.
You can feel it, you can feel it. It's all here.
And this is what you said in the very beginning, that we all come out of the womb.
Mm,
This this is the connection that we all have.
yeah.
I feel this so much, like when we feel into this, then we are one family.
Mm, we are.
because at the end it's the same womb.
Yes.
The womb is the womb.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's
Yeah.
not like, your womb is different from my womb. I don't feel that.
No, I don't feel that either.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's enough space for all of us. It's
Mm-hmm.
just space, it's just spaciousness of this holding, this fabric of existence that we all of us have the opportunity to surrender and fall into her arms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like somebody said that in Europe, the Mediterranean Sea is considered like a womb.
Mm-hmm.
It's even called that, and you can just like go and float on her. I've been there one time, and you can just like
Mm-hmm.
relax back and float, and what just like what happens in that letting go. You don't even have to let go. You just like give over to the womb.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, beautiful, my friend. You can stay on, but I'm going to end the recording, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and subscribe, share, like, comment, and we're very happy that you could join us in this. And thank you, Claudia, for giving us your time right here at the end of your, anytime you could go into labor and we get to share this moment with you. How special.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.